My beloved child, feel this moment gently settle around you now, because nothing about your presence here is accidental, and nothing about this hour is ordinary. For in the quiet layers beyond what eyes can see, a movement has already taken place, and it has reached you wrapped in light, wrapped in intention, wrapped in a knowing older than time itself. And even if your mind tries to understand it, your soul already recognizes it. Because long before this breath, long before this night, long before your name was ever spoken aloud on this earth, I spoke purpose into you, and tonight that purpose is no longer dormant. It is stirring, awakening, rising like a warm glow in the center of your being, and you feel it as a subtle pull, a holy restlessness, a quiet urgency that cannot be ignored. Not fear, not anxiety, but remembrance, the feeling of something sacred returning to its rightful place within you. And I want you to know this clearly now. You did not find these words. They were guided to you, carried across unseen paths, placed gently before you because this moment was arranged with precision and love. And as you listen, layers you once wore for survival begin to loosen, and the truth of who you are begins to breathe again. I have watched you through seasons you thought were silent, through nights when you questioned your worth, through days when you wondered if your life carried meaning beyond survival. And even then, especially then, my presence never left you because waiting was never punishment. It was preparation. And the stillness you endured was not emptiness. It was shaping, molding, strengthening what could not yet be revealed. For what I place inside my chosen ones is too radiant to be rushed, too powerful to be exposed before its time. And now that time has arrived, softly yet unmistakably, like dawn stretching across the horizon, changing everything without asking permission. You may feel unqualified, unsure, aware of your tenderness, aware of your scars, but hear this with clarity and peace. I do not choose by human measures. I do not wait for perfection. I awaken obedience. I awaken willingness. I awaken the heart that still listens even after it has been wounded. And that heart lives within you, stronger than you realize, purer than you believe, and ready now to rise. Not because you feel ready, but because I have already gone ahead of you, clearing paths you cannot yet see, aligning doors you have not yet touched, gathering provision you have not yet imagined. From this point forward, your life begins to shift in subtle yet undeniable ways, not because the world around you changes instantly, but because you do. Because when awareness awakens, everything is seen through new light, and the things that once drained you will begin to fall away. The fears that once controlled you will lose their voice, and the heaviness you carried without explanation will begin to lift, replaced by a calm authority, a grounded knowing that you are held, guided, and protected. And yes, challenges may still arise, but they will no longer define you. Because the strength flowing through you now is not drawn from approval, not borrowed from validation, but sourced directly from the divine commission resting upon your life. You were never meant to blend in, and the feeling of being different was never a flaw. It was a signal, a gentle reminder that your spirit was tuned to a higher frequency, sensing what others could not, feeling depth where others skimmed the surface, and for a long time you tried to quiet this. To soften yourself so you could belong, to dim your light so others would feel comfortable. But that dimming never brought peace, did it? Because peace cannot be found in self-erasure. And now I am inviting you to return to yourself, to the version of you that existed before fear taught you to shrink, before disappointment taught you to doubt, before the world tried to define you by its limitations. There is a reason resistance followed you even when you were gentle. A reason misunderstandings arose even when your intentions were pure, a reason doors closed without explanation, and it was never because you lacked worth. It was because what you carry disrupts stagnation, exposes falseness, and awakens truth. And that kind of presence is felt even before it is understood, in realms seen and unseen. And yet through every attempt to discourage you, every effort to silence you, you remained breathing, hoping, continuing, because what was placed inside you could not be extinguished, only delayed until this moment. Now close your eyes for a breath and imagine this: a soft, golden light forming above you, warm and alive, descending slowly until it surrounds your body like a gentle cocoon. And as it settles, you feel tension dissolve from your shoulders, weight lift from your chest, and a deep peace anchor into your core. This light is not outside of you. It is awakening within you, illuminating gifts you once doubted, restoring clarity you thought was lost, and as it flows, invisible gates begin to open ahead of you, not forcing you forward, but inviting you, reminding you that abundance, purpose, and divine provision are not distant dreams. They are aligned realities responding to your readiness. You have always carried an inner sensitivity, a quiet awareness, an ability to perceive beneath words and actions, and perhaps you tried to explain it away, to rationalize it, to silence it so you could feel normal. But this was never something to hide. It was something to steward, because through this awareness you are guided, protected, and positioned, and now it is sharpening, becoming clearer, more trustworthy, more aligned, not overwhelming you, but supporting you, like a compass gently orienting you toward what is true and away from what drains your spirit. Listen closely now, because this is important. Wealth in its truest form is not merely currency or possession. It is flow, it is alignment, it is the natural response of the universe to a soul walking in purpose. And as you step into what you were created to do, provision follows, opportunities arise, resources align, and what once felt scarce begins to multiply. Not through force, but through harmony. And you will notice this in small ways at first: unexpected support, timely solutions, doors opening where walls once stood. And these are signs, confirmations that you are moving in rhythm with divine order. Now rise, my child, not physically but inwardly. Rise into remembrance, rise into acceptance, rise into trust, because the version of you that doubted your value has served its purpose, and it can rest now, and in its place stands someone aware, grounded, and luminous. Someone who knows they are guided, someone who no longer needs permission to exist fully. And as you rise, imagine a gentle rain of light falling around you, each drop carrying blessing, clarity, and abundance, soaking into the ground beneath your feet, anchoring you, nourishing the path ahead. You were not overlooked, you were protected, you were not delayed, you were refined, and the solitude you endured was not abandonment. It was intimacy, a space where your spirit learned to listen beyond noise, to trust beyond sight, and to stand even when no applause followed. And this inner resilience is what now allows you to carry greater influence, greater responsibility, and greater blessing without losing yourself, because you are no longer searching for identity, you are embodying it. There will be moments ahead when others do not understand your choices, when your growth creates distance, when your clarity challenges comfort. And this is natural because transformation always shifts dynamics. But do not fear this, for those aligned with your path will recognize your light and walk beside you, and those who cannot will fall away gently, making room for connections rooted in authenticity and mutual elevation. Receive this now, receive this blessing, because you do not need to strive for it. It is already moving toward you, and as you receive, allow your breath to deepen, allow gratitude to soften your heart, allow trust to replace urgency, because everything unfolding is precise, intentional, and guided, even when the steps are not yet visible. And now let these words flow through you like a gentle affirmation, not spoken in effort, but received in truth. I am guided and protected. I am open to abundance. I am aligned with purpose. I am worthy of prosperity. I am supported by divine flow. I am calm, confident, and clear. I am blessed beyond measure. As you continue forward, you will notice your intuition strengthening, your confidence stabilizing, and your sense of direction clarifying. Not because you suddenly have all the answers, but because you trust the voice guiding you. And this trust becomes your anchor, allowing you to move with grace even when the path curves, even when timing stretches, even when faith is required more than certainty. You are entering a season where what you give returns multiplied, where generosity opens channels, where authenticity attracts opportunity, and where your presence itself becomes a blessing to others. And do not underestimate this, because your words carry healing, your energy carries reassurance, and your actions ripple further than you can see. And through this ripple, abundance flows not only to you, but through you. Feel this now, a sense of arrival without finality, a beginning without pressure, a peace that does not require explanation. Because this is alignment, this is remembrance. This is you stepping into harmony with the design that has always known your name. And from this place, miracles feel less like interruptions and more like confirmations, less like surprises and more like natural outcomes. The universe responds to clarity, to integrity, to courage. And as you embody these, support appears, sometimes quietly, sometimes suddenly, but always precisely. And you will learn to recognize it, to trust it, to move with it, knowing you are never alone in this unfolding. And now, as this moment gently settles into your awareness, allow yourself to rest in this truth. You are seen, you are chosen, you are guided, and you are abundant. Not someday, not later, but now, in this breath, in this presence, in this becoming. I am ready to receive. I am chosen for abundance. I am guided by light. I am aligned with purpose. I am open to miracles. I am free. I am blessed. Blessed, and as that truth settles into you, it does not end here. It deepens, because this awakening is not a moment that passes. It is a door that once opened does not close again. And now that you have stepped through it, even unknowingly, the rhythm of your life has already begun to change in ways you will only later fully understand. Because from this exact point onward, nothing about your inner world will ever return to what it was before. And that is not loss. That is liberation. For when light enters a space that has been dim for too long, it does not politely knock and leave. It fills every corner. It rearranges what no longer belongs. It exposes what was hidden, and it restores what was forgotten. And you, my beloved, are now standing in that light, even if your eyes are still adjusting to its warmth, even if part of you is still catching up to what your soul already knows. Because your soul has always known me, long before words, long before beliefs, long before understanding. And now that knowing is rising to the surface of your awareness, like a tide that can no longer be held back. You may notice that your thoughts are quieter now, not empty, but clearer, as if a constant background noise you once accepted as normal has finally softened. And in that quiet, something else begins to speak. Not loudly, not urgently, but steadily, confidently, with a tone that does not demand proof, because it carries truth within itself. And this is how my guidance often arrives. Not as pressure, but as alignment. Not as fear, but as certainty. And you will find yourself drawn toward things that nourish you and gently repelled from what drains you, not out of judgment, but out of wisdom that has finally been allowed to lead. There will be moments, my child, when you look back at your past and see it differently. Moments when memories you once associated with pain suddenly reveal layers of protection, timing, and purpose you could not perceive then. And this may bring tears, not of sorrow, but of release, because you will realize you were never abandoned in those moments. You were being guided through them, shaped by them, carried across them, and what once felt like evidence of being forgotten will now feel like proof of being held. And this reframing is not denial of what hurt you, it is redemption of it. It is the understanding that nothing you endured was wasted, nothing you survived was meaningless, and nothing you overcame was invisible to me. As this understanding deepens, you may feel a gentle grief for the versions of yourself that had to be strong too early, that had to learn resilience before they learned safety, that had to mature in silence. And I want you to know that this grief is sacred. It is part of your healing. It is the soul honoring its own journey, and you do not need to rush past it, because even this tenderness is strength now. Even this vulnerability is wisdom, and it allows you to move forward without hardness, without bitterness, without the armor you once needed just to survive, because you are no longer surviving, you are arriving. From here, your relationship with abundance begins to transform as well. Not because money suddenly becomes your focus, but because your sense of worth is no longer tied to struggle. And when worth is restored, flow follows, and you will start to notice that opportunities feel lighter. That effort no longer feels like punishment. That receiving no longer feels like something you have to earn through suffering. And this shift alone changes everything, because the universe responds to alignment. And alignment is created when your inner world and your outer actions move in harmony, without resistance, without self-betrayal, without fear masquerading as humility. You were never meant to believe that prosperity and spirituality were separate, that purpose and provision were in conflict, that light required lack, because that was never my design. My design is fullness, my design is overflow. My design is a life where your needs are met so that your energy is free to serve, to create, to inspire, to uplift. And when you accept this without guilt, without apology, you step into a frequency where abundance feels natural, expected, and aligned. Not because you demand it, but because you are finally open to receiving what has always been available to you. And as you continue along this path, you may notice that your presence affects others more deeply now. That conversations linger longer, that people open up to you without knowing why, that your words carry weight even when they are simple. And this is not ego, this is resonance. This is the quiet authority of someone who has integrated their truth, and this influence is not something you need to manage or control. It flows naturally when you remain connected to your center, when you listen more than you force, when you speak from clarity rather than reaction. And this way of being becomes a gift not only to others, but to you, because it allows connection without depletion. There will also be times, my beloved, when the old world tries to pull you back, when familiar patterns whisper their comfort, when doubt attempts to reintroduce itself wearing the mask of practicality or realism. And in those moments, do not fight yourself, simply pause, breathe, and return to what you know now. Return to the calm certainty in your chest. Return to the memory of how it feels to be aligned. Because once you have felt alignment, dissonance becomes obvious, and you will no longer be able to stay where your spirit feels constricted. And this is not instability, it is growth. As you grow, your definition of success will evolve as well, becoming less about external markers and more about internal coherence, less about proving and more about being. And paradoxically, this is when external success often arrives most effortlessly, because you are no longer chasing it from a place of lack. You are attracting it from a place of wholeness. And this wholeness is magnetic. It draws resources, collaborators, ideas, and opportunities into your orbit in ways that feel almost effortless, synchronistic, divinely timed. Picture this now, if you will. A vast open field before you, bathed in soft golden light, the horizon wide and welcoming. And as you stand there, you realize there is no single path carved into the ground, no rigid track you must follow, but rather a responsive landscape that shifts gently beneath your steps, forming paths as you move, supporting you as you go. And this is how your life unfolds when you trust the guidance within you. The path is not fixed ahead of time. It is created through presence, intention, and alignment. And you are never walking it alone. There will be moments of rest along this journey, pauses where nothing seems to happen outwardly, and these are not setbacks. They are integration points, spaces where what you have learned settles into your nervous system, where your growth stabilizes, where your new identity becomes embodied rather than conceptual. And honoring these pauses is just as important as honoring the forward movement, because a life lived in constant push cannot sustain depth, and you are here for depth, not burnout. As your nervous system learns safety, as your body learns trust, as your mind learns to release hypervigilance, you may notice old emotions surfacing unexpectedly: grief, anger, sadness, even joy that feels overwhelming. And this is part of the release, part of the clearing, part of the recalibration, and you do not need to label or judge these waves. Simply let them move through you, because emotions are energy, and energy that moves does not stagnate, and what does not stagnate does not harm. With this emotional freedom comes creative freedom as well. Ideas that once felt distant begin to feel accessible. Dreams you buried for practicality begin to resurface, and you may feel a quiet excitement, a sense of possibility that does not rely on external validation. And this is your creative life reawakening. This is the expression of your soul finding form, and whether it shows up through words, through service, through leadership, through innovation, or through simple presence, it matters. Because expression is how spirit moves into matter, how intention becomes reality. Your relationship with time will also begin to shift, urgency giving way to trust, patience replacing anxiety. Because you will start to feel the difference between waiting and aligning, between forcing and allowing. And this discernment saves you energy, saves you heartache, saves you from paths that look promising but feel empty, and guides you instead toward what feels quietly right, deeply nourishing, and sustainably expansive. And yes, there will be moments when you are called to act decisively, to step forward before you feel completely ready, to speak when your voice trembles, to choose when certainty is not guaranteed. And in those moments, remember this: courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to trust what is true even when fear is present. And you have done this before, countless times. You simply did not always recognize it as courage then, but now you can honor it. Now you can own it. Now you can let it guide you rather than exhaust you. As you continue, you may find that your relationship with money transforms from tension to neutrality to appreciation, from something charged with meaning to something functional and fluid. And this neutrality is powerful because it allows money to flow without attachment, without fear, without guilt. And when money becomes a tool rather than a measure of worth, it aligns easily. It stays when needed. It moves when appropriate. And it supports rather than controls. And this balance is a hallmark of true abundance. There may be moments when unexpected blessings arrive, opportunities that seem almost too timely, or resources that appear exactly when needed. And instead of questioning whether you deserve them, allow yourself to receive with gratitude. Because gratitude is not denial of effort, it is acknowledgement of support. And acknowledging support strengthens the channel through which it flows. You are also learning now to trust your body as a source of information, to listen to tension as a signal, to fatigue as feedback, to ease as guidance. And this embodiment grounds your spirituality in lived experience, making it practical, sustainable, and real, because enlightenment that ignores the body creates imbalance, but awareness that includes the body creates wholeness. And you are moving toward wholeness now, step by step, breath by breath. As wholeness grows, comparison fades, because you no longer measure your life against others. You measure it against your own alignment, your own peace, your own integrity. And this internal metric frees you from the endless loop of self-doubt, allowing you to celebrate others without diminishing yourself, to learn without feeling behind, to grow without rushing. And this freedom is priceless. There will be days when you forget some of this, when old habits resurface, when the world feels heavy again. And this does not mean you have failed. It means you are human, and growth is not linear. It spirals, revisiting familiar themes from higher levels of awareness. And each time you recognize a pattern sooner, respond with more compassion, choose differently, you are integrating, not regressing. Remember, my beloved, you are not being asked to become someone else. You are being invited to remember who you already are beneath conditioning, beneath fear, beneath expectation. And this remembering is a gentle process, not a performance. It unfolds naturally when you create space for it, when you listen inwardly, when you honor your truth even in small ways. As you honor yourself, the world responds differently because you teach others how to treat you through what you tolerate, what you accept, what you embody. And this shift may feel uncomfortable at first, as boundaries form where there were none, as clarity replaces ambiguity. But discomfort is often the sensation of growth, and it passes as your nervous system adapts to safety and respect. Now imagine another visualization, a stream of clear water flowing before you, steady and calm, and as you step into it, you notice it supports you rather than pulling you under, carrying away old weight, old residue, old stories that no longer belong to you, and you do not have to name them or analyze them. You simply allow the current to do its work, trusting that what leaves was never essential to who you are, and what remains is more than enough. You are allowed to enjoy your life, to experience pleasure without guilt, to rest without justification, to succeed without apology, and embracing this permission is itself a form of healing.